Welcome back to Woodworker's Workshop and home of woodchuckconnect.com. We just finished making our hammer out of a block of wood. We had broken an old one, probably 50 or 60 years old, so I made this gnarly looking piece, but it's out of a block of wood. It ain't pretty, but it's strong. It's got a nice thick grip for larger hands, and incorporated the same kind of shape. So today what we're going to do, we're going to review this Minwax wood finishing cloths that were sent to us by a company asking us to do a review. So that's what we're going to do. This is a walnut and this is a natural oak. They even provided a sample cloth and a piece of board. Basically, this is one of those simple projects where the wine bottle picture, my glue bottle is a wine bottle. It goes over the wine bottle neck like that, and then 2 wine glass stems fit in these slots and hang down. So you can bring it as a party gift or something like that. So we're going to stain this because that's what they sent us, but we're also going to, since we just made ourselves a hammer, we're going to either choose a color that we like, or we might just go half on one side and half on the other and see how the stain turns out. Now, I measured the moisture meter on this wood. It's still at about 30%, so still quite wet, because I only cut down this spruce for about maybe 3 weeks ago, so it's still quite wet. Oh, and they even provided a piece of sandpaper for finishing, so maybe we'll use that as well. Norton 180. Oh, and they even provided a picture, so you can see what it looks like. Alright, so let's open this puppy up and see what we got here. Alright, so this is in a, you can see that, it's like it's in a tray. I'm kind of guessing you might want gloves with this. That's what I'm going to do. So, I haven't really read the instructions on this yet, but we're just going to tear this open. Because, like in any real life situation, a guy rarely reads the instructions first. And I'm guilty of that. So, what we have are the stain is impregnated in this cloth. I'm not sure what kind of cloth this is. If it tears well, each layer kind of opens up. It's got a healthy amount of stain in it. You can just barely see through it. But it does have some stretch, and I'm betting if you stretch that hard enough you might be able to tear it. I'm not sure. But you can see how much stain is on it. It's got a bit of it's got a strong smell. So, I mean, you might want to be in a well-ventilated area when you're using this product. The grain is going this way, so I'll wipe with the grain. It's got more than enough stain on just this one little piece to coat. Again, I haven't read the instructions. Natural. Now that we're almost done, it's time to read the instructions. So, interior use only, so you can't use it outdoors. If you scrape, sand, or remove old paint, you may release lead dust. So, if you're working with old furniture, old woodworking, it's been painted, you have to remember that it might have been painted with lead paint, so the precautions are there on how to follow that. So, sand the wood smooth, remove all sanding dust, keep your hands clean, wear gloves provided. Gloves provided. Well, there were no gloves in this kit. Yes they were. Look at this. Look at this. In this little tiny package. Not sure how that would stick and remain stuck on like in a retail environment, but I guess for sampling purposes that they sent us, there's attached. So let's open this up and see what we have here. This is your standard glove, and there's two of them, which is good. Well, let's continue this project with these then. See how well they hold up. Of course, had I read the instructions first, I would have seen these, and I could have saved my own gloves. But, okay. I'm just going to do a test to see how porous these provided plugs are. Yeah, so they don't leak. Yes, okay, so keep your hands clean, wear the gloves provided. Open the front label, remove a stain cloth. That's what I did. Close the front label to keep cloths from drying out. Well, no chance of that happening again, so I'll have to find a plastic bag to save them. I don't think this could survive that anyway, so you might want to have a plastic bag on hand for that. Close the front label, keep the cloths from drying out. Use the stain cloth to apply color to the wood, wiping the direction of the grain, working the color into your wood surface. Remove excess stain with a clean rag, which is, I guess, what they provided. I didn't bother cleaning off the excess, but we can certainly do that now. Yeah, you remove the excess because it's got a lot of pigment in it, so you can, rubbing off the excess, you know, depending on how much pressure you apply, depends on how much stain will show through. So, yeah. Okay. What else does it say? Remove the excess stain for an even grab the other one. For an even deeper color and sheen, wait 1 hour, then apply a second coat. Okay, so it's much like every other stain. Wait overnight before subjecting the wood to normal use. So you need, a good 24 hours to let it dry before you can handle it. For extra durability without added color, wait 3 hours after the final stain application. Like I did here, I could wait 3 hours and then apply one of these clear protective finishes like Minwax's polyacrylic protective finish, so any kind of clear coat. So if you're happy with that stain color after your first coat, then wait 3 hours chance to dry, then apply your clear coat and you're done. But if you want a little darker stain, it says wait 1 hour, then apply your second coat. And then I'd say, if you want to put a clear stain on it, then it says if you wait 3 hours for one coat, if you put it in the second coat, I'd probably wait a couple extra hours. Or, do it late in the evening and get at it first thing in the morning and then give it your clear coat. If you want a nice smooth surface, you give it a clear coat, let that dry, lightly sand it down with some 220 or something like that, or steel wool, and then give it a second coat, and you should be good to go. You can even put, when the second layer of clear coat is dried, you could put in, rub it down with some paste wax, and that is smooth as glass it'll be. Okay, so initial impressions. For the amount of stain that's in this one cloth, you could probably do a fairly large area. I'm thinking maybe 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet, I'm going to guess. And then you'll be getting into your second layer. Let's count how many layers there are here. There's one. Well, we don't even have to count because it says there's 8 cloths. So 8 cloths, if you can get maybe 2 or 3 square feet out of a cloth. It does say soap and water cleanup. It dries in an hour. Handling and moving. Alright, so coverage. It does say use soap and warm water for cleanup. Coverage is 50 square feet per pack. 50 square feet. So a cloth would give you, somebody want to do the math, you're looking at about 6.5 square feet per cloth. I said it would only do that much. They're saying 3 feet or 2 feet. It's possible. Depends on how much stain you're going to apply. Okay, so that concludes that little test. Now we're going to, before we take this off, let's do the hammer. Alright, so that's that one. Let's break it. This one is called Natural Oak. That one was called, I'm guessing, Walnut. Yep. So grab one of these. I'm just going to grab this. Not very clean on that side, not very clean on that side. I'm just going to do this anyway. So yeah, it's quite transparent. So hence the name Natural Oak. Give it a natural color. Quite clear actually. I'm going to spin my hammer around. Another spot there. Leave that alone. I'm going to grab a piece of pine. So here we have a piece of pine. Let's see what the natural looks like on that. End grain. Some people like when they're staining projects that are very porous on the end grain, like pine. Sometimes you might want to use a stain conditioner. You can buy them at your paint stores. And they seal up the end grain so that not as much, the end grain doesn't look as dark. The stain conditioner will close up the pores so that the end grain only absorbs about as much as what your face grain does. So you get more of an even color all around your project. Alright, so that's natural. I'm just going to grab a strip of this walnut. You can see it's quite a difference in color. And the blending of the two. So, this is a fun experiment. I'm going to take some natural, put that in there first, and then I'm going to take some, let's see, half wipe that down, just try a couple of different experiments here. Now I'm going to take my walnut and go right on top. Just light. See what happens with that when I wipe it off. So wiping it off, the natural off first, and then putting the walnut on top. I don't know if there's a grain difference or not, but it just seen that when I wiped the natural on here and didn't wipe it off, and then I put the walnut over top of it, it seemed to absorb more into the walnut seems to absorb more into the grain, as opposed to wiping the natural into the pores, maybe filling up the pores with the natural, and then when I wiped on the walnut and wiped that off, not as much of the walnut got absorbed into the grain on this side. So, interesting little experiment like that. So, just get back to my little hammer here. I'm just going to wipe that down. Yeah, that walnut really absorbed well into that fresh cut wood. And the natural, well, you know, the stain comes through. That walnut really absorbed everything. You can hardly see the grain. but the natural still allows the grain to come through. It'll be interesting to see over time if that stain transfers onto my hands as I'm using it. But I'll give it some time to dry up. Maybe even give it a clear coat. It's a gnarly handle, but you know, that's all part of experimenting and see how things turn out. Okay. So, my recommendation overall, it does the preloaded stain on these cloths does the job because there's a high amount of pigment, and there's certainly plenty of stain left in the trays that you can dab in and wipe some more. It's a messy process. I've done quite a bit of stain over the years. I rarely have to use gloves because for me, I'm normally just taking a lint-free cloth. This is a lint cloth, but as an example, I just take my lint-free cloth, go like this, go into the can, and then that's my pad. And I'll use that to rub the stain into the grain. You don't get your hands nearly as messy. But if you're just doing a small little project, you don't want to buy a can of stain, or cans aren't available, this would be a good choice. So recommend it, yes, for small projects, but be prepared it can get a little messy. And then what to do with this after. You'd have to get like a Ziploc bag or something like that if you haven't used them all and you want to use them again. Otherwise you'll have to toss it. For me, I'm not in favor of tossing something out until it's pretty much all used up, which is why I always buy small cans of stain. I mean, I've got cans of stain down in my storage area that's probably 20 years. Minwax stains, they're still good. Because every year, once a year, I'll shake them up and give them a good shake to get the pigments moved again so they don't settle to the bottom. Not everybody's like that, but you know, I do a bit of woodworking now and again, and I just like to have access to my stains. But if you're looking for a one-time quick shot solution to staining something, I'd recommend these. Sure, why not? But again, be prepared for the mess that can occur.